Hello and welcome back. It is raining again. It just seems to be relentless at the moment, so we've been sort of held up with a boat lately. Last video was the stringer video, so you saw us take the old stringers out and put the new ones in. I was hoping to get you onto this one and get the floor video in, but the problem is it's been absolutely larraping it down for weeks now. I don't seem to get a break in the weather, and when I do get a break in the weather I haven't got the time. Started to work on it the other day. I've cut the floor in. It keeps filling up with water because it's raining. So what I need to do is build a cover over it, really, if this weather's going to keep up, so we can crack on and get on with the boat. Because as soon as the weather's dry again, I want to be out on the boat and using it. So the issue is, every time I go to empty the boat out, it starts raining again. So anyway, what we're going to do on this video is I'm going to show you myself making a Flybridge for the top up here. Well, that's what Wilson called it, was a Flybridge. Basically, it's a cuddy or a helm cover, if you like. Comes up here, whoop, 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 up and over the back. Gives you a little bit of cover from the weather, and a little bit of wind resistance when you're driving along on the boat, and stops the spray and stuff from going into. So I'm going to do this in the garage because it's raining, and we'll show you me making it, and we'll show you me taking it out of the mould once we're done. It will need a little bit more work after this video, windows cutting in, etc., a bit more strengthening and whatnot, but we'll give you something to watch and keep you up to date with the build. Look at it. The water's supposed to be underneath it, not in it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll catch you on the next one. Hello, welcome to the Flybridge video. So I've made a mould out of ply, 12mm ply I've used for the Flybridge, and we don't need to use a mould again, we're only making one. So we've knocked it up, glued it together, nailed it up, and we've used a mould release and wax on the actual ply itself, so that hopefully we'll gel coat it first, then lay up our layers of fiberglass. Hopefully we can just peel it out, but if not, it doesn't matter, we can beat it off and throw it in the bin. So there's no major dramas if it does stick a little bit. So first up, we'll gel coat the mould, and then we'll wait for that to go a little bit tacky. Then we'll start laying up our resin with our top strand matting in there, and then we're going to add a dual weave mat on top, and then more layers of top strand to give us a bit of strength. So here, I'll show you how we go. You want that catalyst to be mixed nicely throughout, all the way. Oh, that should be us. And start at the top and work your way down, because you're bound to spill a few bits. So, you can roller it out if you want to, but it is quite thick. Keeps up a little roller tray and roll it out. I'm just going to brush it on myself. It's not a massive area to do, so. And you want it on there quite thick. You don't want to spread it too thin. You want a good thick coat of gel coat, so when you go to peel it off, it's got a decent amount on there, you know. Make sure you get it all the way to the edges as well, because what I've done with the template is this template can be trimmed slightly, so it gives me a bit of play once it's gone off, rather than being the exact size. If I need to trim up a rough edge or something, I can't. So I've opted to make it that little bit bigger. Okay, so that is our gel coat on. It's all covered in white. We've got a nice thick layer on there. We make sure that we spread it round, make sure you've got no little gaps in the gel coat, and make sure it's nice and even, or as even as you can get it to be. It doesn't have to be super flat. It's going to be flat on the other side. So our finished side is the other side. This is internally. In a minute, we're going to be laying up chop strand on top of here, our dual weave, and obviously resin mix. And then our finished base, once it comes out the mould, will be smooth because our mould's smooth on the other side. So we don't have to be too fussy as it goes in. We just need to make sure it's nice and thick. So we'll crack on now. We'll wait for this to start tacking up a little bit. Once it starts tacking up, we'll start laying our glass layers in there and building up our final products. Okay, so our gel coat is starting to go tacky now. Get to a point where you can touch it and it doesn't come off on your finger, and that's how you know that you're ready to start laying up. So the first thing we're going to put on is a surface tissue. The surface tissue will go on first onto the gel coat, and that will stop us from getting print through from our chop strand matting. Obviously it's heavier, we don't want it to push through the gel coat where it's still that little bit tacky. So put our surface tissue on, we'll cut that in, and then we'll start mixing up some resin and get these layers starting to build up. Okay, right, this is our surface tissue. As you can see, it's almost like paper, super thin, super fine bits of glass. So when we lay that in, it's not heavy, obviously. It won't push its way through the gel coat. So it just helps us. We'll need to cut that with the scissors. Where are the scissors are gone? There we go. So I'm just going to lay it on. It doesn't matter if it overhangs your mould because we can trim that in. We'll just use that to go up here like so. Keep it as flat as you can when you go on. You're going to get bits touching. So I'm probably in your way in a minute, but just need to get this on without creating too many ripples in it. Doesn't matter too much because when you start wetting it up with the resin, it will float and move around, etc. Everything's much easier with two people. Everything's so difficult on your own, but we'll get there. Okay, so that's our first layer of glass in there. That's our surface tissue laid in. What I'm going to do now is quickly knock up a mix. We'll get that wetted up, and then we can get our other layers of fiberglass on top of that. So much nicer to mix than the gel coat. Nice and thin. Okay, so we've got 2 layers on now. We've got a surface tissue on there, and I've got the first layer of 450 GSM chop strand laid in, resined up, consolidation molded out, so we've got no air bubbles in it, nice and tight in the edges, corners and whatnot. So now I'm going to go for a layer of dual weave just to give that strength to the Flybridge. Not necessarily, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. You could just use the chop strand if you wanted to. I'm just sort of belt and braces doing it really. I'd rather it was stronger than it needs to be. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we'll do now. Whilst it's still wet, it's easier to lay up whilst it's still wet because you use a little bit less resin. The wet layer before will soak up the bottom, so you need to put more resin on it before you now put the next layer of matting down. You can leave it, obviously it's a polyester layout resin, so we could leave it for a day or two if we wanted to, and the styrene in it will help etch itself back into it, but we're just going to do it layer after layer. It's just easier that way. Okay, so that is our dual weave on there now. Nicely soaked in resin. Obviously got a bit overhanging all around the edges, or not. We can trim that on a bit. We'll let it sit off a bit, and then we'll trim that up. What we'll do now is another layer of 450 GSM chop strand on there, and lay that up. Last bit of resin on. We'll leave it at that. We'll see how it sets up, and we'll go from there. Okay, so that's the Flybridge made in the mould. I've started peeling that way. I've trimmed the edges up whilst they were going tacky to give us our rough shape. Started peeling that way, so we've peeled it out of the mould. So get it out of the mould and I'll show you how it's came out. Okay. So that's us. That's it. It's turned out pretty well. Just bring you down here. That is the Flybridge. A couple of little bit of fills in a couple of little bit of places, but I sort of expected that being a ply mould. Yeah, overall, pretty happy with that.